What if I told you there's a better way? What if the real strength isn't in holding on, but in letting go? Today I'm here to share why the most powerful step you can take isn't to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, but to surrender it, to stop worrying and give it to God. Because when we release control, we create space for faith, for peace, and for a life led by purpose, not fear. Worry is a misuse of imagination. Redirect it toward faith. When we think about imagination, we often associate it with creativity, innovation, and the ability to dream of better things. It's the tool that allows artists to paint masterpieces, inventors to create groundbreaking technology, and visionaries to see possibilities where others see obstacles. But imagination is a double-edged sword. The same mind that can envision a beautiful future can also spiral into endless scenarios of fear, doubt, and anxiety. Worry, at its core, is simply imagination pointed in the wrong direction. Think about it. When we worry, we're creating vivid mental pictures of what might go wrong. We play out worst-case scenarios in our heads, often with more detail and emotion than reality could ever deliver. We imagine conversations that will never happen, failures that will never come to pass, and disasters that are purely hypothetical. Our minds, instead of being a source of hope and possibility, become a breeding ground for fear and negativity. This isn't just mentally exhausting, it can be spiritually draining as well. But here's the thing. Worry doesn't change the future. It doesn't prevent bad things from happening, nor does it prepare us in any meaningful way. What it does is rob us of peace in the present. It steals our joy, clouds our judgment, and keeps us stuck in a cycle of fear and doubt. Every moment spent worrying is a moment taken away from living fully, loving deeply, and trusting completely. The question then becomes, if worry is a misuse of imagination, how do we redirect it? The answer lies in faith. Faith is the practice of trusting in something greater than ourselves, in believing that no matter what happens, we are not alone and we are not without hope. It's about shifting our focus from what could go wrong to what could go right, from fear of the unknown to confidence in God's plan. Redirecting our imagination toward faith doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending that challenges don't exist. It means choosing to believe that, despite those challenges, we are supported by a higher power that has our best interests at heart. It's about visualizing not just the problems, but the solutions, not just the obstacles, but the opportunities. It's about imagining the best possible outcomes and trusting that even if things don't go exactly as we hope, they will unfold as they are meant to. When we start to see worry as a misuse of our God-given imagination, it becomes easier to recognize those moments when we're spiraling into fear. We can catch ourselves in the act and make a conscious choice to shift our thinking. Instead of imagining failure, we can imagine growth. Instead of picturing loss, we can envision new beginnings. Instead of fearing the worst, we can trust in God's promise to guide us through whatever comes our way. This isn't always easy. Our minds are conditioned to look for threats and prepare for danger. It's a survival mechanism that has served humans for thousands of years. But we're not just physical beings. We're spiritual ones too. And our spirits thrive not on fear, but on faith. When we feed our minds with thoughts of trust and hope, we nourish our souls in a way that worry never could. It's also important to remember that faith is active, not passive. It's not just about sitting back and hoping everything will work out. It's about taking steps forward with the confidence that we're being guided and supported along the way. When we redirect our imagination toward faith, we're not ignoring our responsibilities or challenges. We're approaching them from a place of peace, knowing that we don't have to carry the burden alone. Imagination is one of the most powerful tools we have. It shapes our perceptions, influences our decisions, and ultimately determines the quality of our lives. When we allow worry to dominate our thoughts, we're essentially giving our imagination permission to work against us. But when we choose to redirect that same imaginative power toward faith, we open ourselves up to a life filled with possibility, purpose, and peace. It's a daily practice, this redirection. It requires mindfulness and intention. It means noticing when our thoughts are drifting into worry and gently steering them back toward trust. It means replacing what if everything goes wrong with what if everything goes right. It means shifting from I can't handle this to I'm not alone in this. Over time, these small shifts can lead to a profound transformation in the way we experience life. We all have moments of doubt and fear. It's part of being human. But we don't have to let those moments define us. We don't have to let worry control our lives. By recognizing worry for what it is, a misuse of our incredible imaginative power, we can begin to reclaim our thoughts and our lives. We can choose to imagine a future filled with hope, to trust in a higher plan, and to live each day with the peace that comes from knowing we are held and guided by something far greater than our fears. When we redirect our imagination toward faith, we're not just changing our thoughts, we're changing our lives. We're choosing to see the world through a lens of possibility rather than limitation. We're opening ourselves up to the beauty of the present moment and the hope of the future. And in doing so, we're allowing ourselves to experience the fullness of life, unburdened by the weight of worry. Control is an illusion. Trust in God brings true freedom. From the moment we wake up in the morning, we're surrounded by choices and decisions. What to wear, what to eat, how to plan our day, how to manage our work, relationships, and responsibilities. It's easy to believe that if we can just make the right choices and stay on top of everything, we can control the outcomes in our lives. We plan meticulously, we strategize, and we try to predict every possible scenario to ensure things go our way. But no matter how carefully we plan, life has a way of reminding us that control is nothing more than an illusion. Think about the times when, despite your best efforts, things still went off track. You studied hard for a test, but the questions were nothing like you expected. You prepared thoroughly for a job interview, but the position was given to someone else. You did everything you could to maintain a relationship, but it still fell apart. These moments are frustrating and disheartening because they confront us with the reality that no matter how hard we try, we can't control everything. We can't control other people's actions, unexpected events, or even the twists and turns of our own emotions. Life is unpredictable, and trying to control it is like trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. This realization can be unsettling. We like to feel in control because it gives us a sense of security. It makes us believe we can protect ourselves from disappointment, failure, or pain. But the truth is, clinging to this illusion of control often creates more stress and anxiety. The constant need to manage every detail and anticipate every outcome can leave us feeling overwhelmed and exhausted. It traps us in a cycle of worry as we become hyper-focused on what could go wrong and how to prevent it. But what if we let go of the need to control and instead chose to trust? What if, rather than exhausting ourselves trying to manage every aspect of our lives, we surrendered our plans to God and believed that things would unfold as they are meant to? Trusting in God doesn't mean we stop caring or that we don't take action. It means recognizing that there's a higher power at work, one that sees the bigger picture when we can only see a small piece. It's about believing that even when things don't go according to our plan, they're still part of a greater divine plan. When we let go of control and place our trust in God, we experience a sense of freedom unlike anything else. We no longer carry the heavy burden of trying to figure everything out on our own. We don't have to constantly worry about making the perfect decisions or fear the unknown. Instead, we can move through life with confidence, knowing that we are guided and supported by a loving and wise presence. This doesn't mean life will be free of challenges, but it does mean we can face those challenges with a sense of peace and assurance. Trusting in God also allows us to be more present in the moment. When we're not preoccupied with controlling the future, we can fully engage with the here and now. We can appreciate the beauty of the present without the shadow of anxiety looming over us. We can build deeper connections with others because we're not consumed by fear or distracted by what's beyond our control. Letting go of control opens the door to a more meaningful and fulfilling life. It's important to understand that surrendering control doesn't mean we become passive or indifferent. Trusting in God is an active process. It requires faith, courage, and a willingness to step into the unknown. It means taking responsible actions while leaving the outcomes in God's hands. We still set goals, make plans, and work hard, but we do so with the understanding that the ultimate results are beyond our control. This shift in mindset can transform how we approach life's challenges. Instead of seeing obstacles as failures, we can view them as opportunities for growth and learning. Instead of fearing the unexpected, we can embrace it as part of the journey. Letting go of control also teaches us humility. It reminds us that we are not the center of the universe and that we don't have all the answers. This can be a humbling realization, but it's also incredibly freeing. When we acknowledge our limitations, we create space for grace. We allow ourselves to be human, to make mistakes, and to learn from them. We also open ourselves up to receiving help and support from others, recognizing that we don't have to carry our burdens alone. Trusting in God requires us to shift our focus from ourselves to something greater. It calls us to believe that we are part of a bigger story, one that is unfolding exactly as it should. This doesn't mean life will always be easy or that we'll get everything we want, but it does mean that we can find peace in knowing that we are not alone and that every experience, whether joyful or challenging, has a purpose. In a world that constantly tells us to take control and be self-reliant, choosing to trust in God can feel countercultural. But it's in this trust that we find true freedom. Freedom from anxiety, from the need to predict and control every outcome, and from the fear of the unknown. We discover that life is not something to be tightly managed, but a journey to be experienced with open hands and an open heart. We learn that while we may not have control over everything, we can always choose to trust, and in that trust, we find peace, purpose, and the freedom to live fully. Letting go doesn't mean giving up, it means giving it to God. There's a common misconception that letting go is a sign of weakness or failure. Many people believe that if they release their grip on something, a dream, a relationship, a challenge, they are somehow admitting defeat. We live in a world that glorifies perseverance, hustle, and control, where holding on tightly is seen as a virtue. But there's a profound difference between giving up and letting go. Giving up is rooted in despair, in the belief that there's no hope or possibility left. Letting go, on the other hand, is an act of faith. It's not about abandoning hope, but about placing it in the right hands, God's hands. When we hold on too tightly to something, we often do so out of fear. We fear losing control, facing uncertainty, or being vulnerable. We believe that if we can manage every detail, we can protect ourselves from disappointment or pain. But the truth is, no matter how tightly we hold on, we can't control everything. Life is unpredictable, and the more we try to force things to go our way, the more we exhaust ourselves in the process. Holding on too tightly can become a source of stress, anxiety, and even resentment. It can weigh us down, preventing us from experiencing peace and joy in the present moment. Letting go is not about neglecting our responsibilities or ignoring the challenges we face. It's about recognizing our limitations and understanding that we don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. It's about acknowledging that there is a higher power at work, one that sees the bigger picture, when we can only see a small fragment. By giving our struggles, worries, and desires to God, we're not abandoning them. We're entrusting them to someone who is infinitely wiser, stronger, and more capable than we are. This act of surrender is incredibly liberating. When we let go and give it to God, we release the burden of trying to control outcomes that are beyond our reach. We stop obsessing over what might happen and start trusting that no matter what does happen, we will be guided, supported, and cared for. This doesn't mean that everything will always go the way we want, but it does mean that we can find peace in knowing that things will unfold as they are meant to. Letting go also opens us up to new possibilities. When we're fixated on a specific outcome or clinging to a particular plan, we can become blind to other opportunities that may be even better than what we envisioned. By surrendering our plans to God, we allow room for divine intervention, for unexpected blessings, and for paths we might never have considered. Sometimes the very thing we're holding on to is what's holding us back from experiencing something greater. It's important to remember that letting go is not a one-time event. It's a continuous process. Life constantly presents us with new challenges, desires, and uncertainties. Each time we face something that feels overwhelming or out of our control, we have the opportunity to practice letting go again. It's a daily choice to release our fears, doubts, and anxieties, and to place our trust in God. This practice doesn't mean we won't still experience moments of worry or frustration, but it does mean we have a way to navigate those feelings with faith and grace. Letting go also requires humility. It means admitting that we don't have all the answers and that we can't do everything on our own. This can be a difficult realization, especially in a culture that values independence and self-sufficiency. But humility is not a weakness, it's a strength. It takes courage to acknowledge our limitations and to seek guidance and support. When we humble ourselves and give our struggles to God, we're not diminishing our worth. We're recognizing our place in a larger divine plan. Another aspect of letting go is learning to release our attachment to specific outcomes. We often have a clear idea of how we want things to turn out, and when they don't go according to our plans, we can feel disappointed or even devastated. But when we give it to God, we're trusting that the outcome, whatever it may be, is part of a greater purpose. This doesn't mean we won't feel sadness or frustration when things don't go our way, but it does mean we can find comfort in knowing that there's a reason beyond what we can see in the moment. Letting go also allows us to be more present. When we're not consumed by worries about the future or regrets about the past, we can fully engage with the here and now. We can appreciate the people around us, the experiences we're having, and the blessings in our lives. This presence brings a sense of peace and fulfillment that holding on tightly can never provide. It allows us to live more authentically and to connect more deeply with ourselves, others, and God. It's natural to feel apprehensive about letting go. After all, it requires us to step into the unknown and to trust in something we can't always see or understand. But the beauty of faith is that it provides us with a foundation of hope and assurance even when the path ahead is unclear. When we give it to God, we're not stepping into the unknown alone. We're walking hand in hand with a loving, guiding presence that is always with us. Letting go doesn't mean we stop caring or that we become passive in our lives. It means we approach life's challenges with a sense of peace and trust, knowing that we don't have to carry the burden alone. It means we take action when needed, but release the need to control the outcome. It means we find strength not in our ability to hold on, but in our willingness to surrender. Peace begins where worry ends. Worry is something we've all experienced. It creeps into our minds in the quiet moments, keeps us awake at night, and distracts us during the day. We worry about our jobs, our relationships, our health, our future. We worry about things that have happened, things that might happen, and even things that probably never will happen. Worry becomes a constant background noise in our lives, a weight we carry without even realizing how heavy it is. But the truth is, worry doesn't change the outcome of our problems. It doesn't fix anything or prevent challenges from coming our way. All it does is rob us of the peace we could be experiencing right now. Peace isn't the absence of problems. It's the absence of worry in the midst of those problems. Life will always have its ups and downs, but peace is about how we respond to those challenges. When we let worry take over, we give our minds permission to dwell on fear and uncertainty. We imagine worst-case scenarios and replay them over and over in our heads. This constant mental rehearsal of negative outcomes leaves us feeling anxious, stressed, and overwhelmed. But when we choose to release that worry, we create space for peace to enter. Letting go of worry doesn't mean ignoring our responsibilities or pretending that everything is perfect. It means recognizing that while we can't control everything, we can control how we respond. We can choose to focus on what we can do and trust that what's beyond our control is in God's hands. This shift in perspective is powerful. It allows us to face challenges with a calm and steady heart rather than one that is constantly on edge. Peace begins when we trust that we don't have to have all the answers. Often worry stems from our desire to predict and control the future. We want to know exactly how things will turn out, and when we can't, we fill that uncertainty with fear. But the reality is, we're not meant to have all the answers. Life is full of unknowns, and that's where faith comes in. When we trust in a higher power, we release the need to control every detail. We begin to understand that even if we don't know what the future holds, we know who holds the future. Worry also tends to thrive in isolation. When we keep our fears and anxieties to ourselves, they grow larger in our minds. We start to believe we're alone in our struggles, that no one else understands what we're going through. But when we open up and share our worries with others, we often find comfort and support. Talking to trusted friends, family, or a spiritual mentor can help us gain perspective and remind us that we're not alone. More importantly, bringing our worries to God in prayer allows us to release them and find peace in knowing we're supported by a loving and understanding presence. Another important aspect of finding peace is living in the present moment. Worry pulls us out of the now and into an imagined future filled with fear and uncertainty. It keeps us focused on what might happen instead of what is happening. But peace is found in the present. It's in appreciating the simple joys of today, the small blessings that we might overlook when we're caught up in worry. When we ground ourselves in the present moment, we realize that right now, in this very breath, we are okay. And that realization can be incredibly calming. Practicing gratitude is also a powerful way to shift from worry to peace. When we focus on what we're grateful for, our minds naturally move away from fear and towards appreciation. Gratitude reminds us of all the ways we are supported, loved, and cared for. It helps us see the good even in difficult situations and shifts our perspective from what's lacking to what's abundant. This mindset creates a foundation for peace, as it trains our minds to look for the positive rather than dwell on the negative. It's important to remember that finding peace is a process. It's not a switch we can flip overnight, but a practice we cultivate over time. Each time we choose to release worry and embrace trust, we strengthen our ability to find peace in any situation. It's about taking small steps each day, pausing to breathe deeply when anxiety rises, turning to prayer or meditation when worries creep in, and reminding ourselves that we don't have to carry our burdens alone. Peace also comes from accepting that life is imperfect. We often worry because we expect things to go a certain way, and when they don't, we feel stressed and disappointed. But when we embrace the imperfections of life and understand that challenges are a natural part of the journey, we can approach them with greater resilience. Instead of fighting against the inevitable ups and downs, we learn to flow with them, trusting that each experience has something to teach us. Forgiveness is another key element in finding peace. Holding on to grudges or past mistakes can weigh heavily on our hearts and minds. We worry about what we could have done differently or how others have wronged us. But forgiveness allows us to release that burden. It frees us from the chains of resentment and regret, making room for peace to flourish. Forgiving others and ourselves is an act of letting go, one that clears the path for healing and tranquility. Ultimately, peace begins when we surrender the things we cannot change and trust that we are exactly where we need to be. It's about releasing the need to control, the fear of the unknown, and the weight of our worries. When we do this, we open our hearts to the calm, steady assurance that everything will unfold as it should. We find comfort in knowing that we are guided, supported, and never alone in our journey. Faith grows when we release fear and embrace trust. Fear is a powerful emotion. It can creep into our thoughts quietly or rush in like a storm, taking over our minds and influencing our decisions. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, these are all familiar feelings that can hold us back from living fully and stepping into the life we're meant to lead. But faith and fear cannot occupy the same space. When we allow fear to take the lead, it stifles our faith, keeping us rooted in doubt and uncertainty. On the other hand, when we choose to release fear and embrace trust, our faith begins to grow, flourish, and guide us through life's challenges with confidence and peace. Fear often stems from the desire to control outcomes. We worry about things going wrong, and that worry can make us hesitant to take risks or step outside our comfort zones. We fear making mistakes, disappointing others, or facing situations we don't fully understand. This desire to avoid discomfort or uncertainty can keep us stuck, preventing us from pursuing opportunities, relationships, or experiences that could enrich our lives. But when we release that fear and trust in a higher power, we open ourselves up to possibilities we never imagined. Embracing trust doesn't mean we ignore our fears or pretend they don't exist. It means acknowledging them, understanding where they come from, and then choosing not to let them control us. Trusting in God or a higher power allows us to see beyond our immediate fears and recognize that there's a bigger picture at play. It reminds us that even when things feel uncertain or challenging, we are not alone. We are supported by a divine presence that knows what's best for us, even when we can't see it ourselves. As we begin to trust more deeply, our faith grows stronger. Faith is like a muscle. The more we use it, the stronger it becomes. When we face situations that scare us but choose to move forward in trust, we're exercising our faith. Each time we step into the unknown with confidence, we reinforce the belief that we can handle whatever comes our way, not because we have all the answers, but because we are guided and supported. Over time, this builds resilience and courage, helping us face future challenges with greater assurance. One of the beautiful things about faith is that it doesn't require us to have everything figured out. It allows us to let go of the need for certainty and embrace the unknown with open hearts. This is where growth happens, in the spaces where we step beyond what feels safe and familiar. When we release fear and trust in the journey, we give ourselves permission to grow, to learn, and to become the people we're meant to be. Challenges and obstacles become opportunities for growth rather than reasons to retreat. Trusting in God also helps us find peace in the midst of uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how much we plan, things won't always go as expected. But when we trust that there's a greater purpose behind our experiences, we can navigate life's twists and turns with a sense of calm and assurance. This doesn't mean we won't face difficulties, but it does mean we'll be better equipped to handle them with grace. Faith gives us the strength to endure hardships, knowing that they're part of a larger plan that we may not fully understand in the moment. Releasing fear also allows us to live more authentically. When we're not held back by worry or doubt, we can show up as our true selves, embracing our strengths and acknowledging our imperfections. We stop comparing ourselves to others or trying to meet unrealistic expectations. Instead, we focus on our own journey, trusting that we are exactly where we need to be. This authenticity fosters deeper connections with others and helps us build meaningful relationships based on trust and vulnerability. Another way faith grows when we release fear is through the practice of gratitude. Fear often focuses on what's lacking or what could go wrong, while gratitude shifts our attention to what's already good in our lives. When we take time to appreciate our blessings, we reinforce the belief that we are supported and cared for. Gratitude helps us see the abundance around us, even in difficult times, and this perspective strengthens our faith. It reminds us that no matter what challenges we face, there is always something to be thankful for. Letting go of fear also means accepting that failure is a natural part of life. We often fear failure because we equate it with inadequacy or defeat. But failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone toward it. Every setback teaches us something valuable, helping us grow and improve. When we trust that failure is part of the process, we're less afraid to take risks and more willing to step outside our comfort zones. This willingness to embrace failure fosters resilience and deepens our faith in ourselves and in the journey. Faith also grows when we surround ourselves with supportive communities. Being part of a group that shares similar values and beliefs can reinforce our trust and provide encouragement during challenging times. When we see others living out their faith and overcoming their fears, it inspires us to do the same. Sharing our experiences, struggles, and triumphs with others creates a sense of connection and reminds us that we're not alone on this journey. Ultimately, releasing fear and embracing trust allows us to live with greater freedom and joy. When we're not weighed down by worry or doubt, we can fully engage with life's experiences, savoring each moment and embracing the journey. We become more open to new opportunities, more willing to take risks, and more confident in our ability to handle whatever comes our way. Faith becomes a guiding light, leading us through life's uncertainties with courage and grace. As we continue to release fear and cultivate trust, our faith becomes a source of strength, resilience, and peace. It empowers us to face challenges with confidence, knowing that we are supported by a higher power that loves and cares for us. This faith doesn't eliminate life's difficulties, but it transforms how we navigate them, allowing us to live with purpose, authenticity, and a deep sense of peace. Trusting God doesn't mean life will be easy, but it will be purposeful. Many people assume that trusting in God will make life smooth and free from challenges, but the truth is quite the opposite. Trusting God doesn't guarantee an easy life, it promises a meaningful one. Life will still have its share of difficulties, disappointments, and detours, but when we trust in God, we begin to see those challenges through a different lens. Instead of viewing hardships as random or unfair, we start to recognize them as part of a larger, purposeful plan designed to shape us, teach us, and guide us toward who we're meant to become. When we trust God, we acknowledge that there's a purpose behind every experience, even the painful ones. This doesn't mean we'll always understand why things happen the way they do, but it does mean we can find meaning in the midst of uncertainty. Challenges that once felt overwhelming become opportunities for growth and transformation. The obstacles we face aren't just barriers, they're stepping stones, leading us to something greater. Trusting in this process allows us to move forward with hope and confidence, even when the path ahead isn't clear. Trusting God also changes the way we approach success and failure. In a world that often measures worth by achievements and accolades, it's easy to feel discouraged when things don't go as planned. But when we trust that God has a purpose for our lives, we begin to see success and failure differently. Success isn't just about reaching our goals, it's about growing into the people we're meant to be. Failure isn't the end of the road, it's a valuable lesson that guides us toward a better path. Every experience, whether it feels like a win or a loss, contributes to our growth and serves a greater purpose. This trust also helps us navigate life's uncertainties with greater peace. Life is unpredictable, and there will always be situations beyond our control. But when we trust that God is guiding us, we don't have to be paralyzed by fear or anxiety. We can face the unknown with a sense of calm, knowing that we're not alone in our journey. This doesn't mean we won't experience fear or doubt, but it does mean we have a solid foundation to stand on when those feelings arise. Trusting in God provides a sense of security that goes beyond our circumstances, allowing us to remain steady even in turbulent times. Another important aspect of trusting God is understanding that His timing is often different from ours. We live in a fast-pacing world that values instant results and immediate gratification. When we don't see quick progress or answers to our prayers, it's easy to feel frustrated or discouraged. But God's timing is perfect, even when it doesn't align with our own. Trusting in His timing means being patient and allowing things to unfold in their own time. It's about believing that delays aren't denials and that waiting can be a season of growth and preparation for something greater. Trusting God also means surrendering our own plans and being open to His guidance. We often have a clear idea of what we want our lives to look like, and when things don't go according to plan, it can be difficult to let go. But God's plans are always better than our own, even when we don't see it in the moment. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up our dreams or desires. It means being willing to let go of control and trust that God knows what's best for us. This openness allows us to experience opportunities and blessings that we might have otherwise overlooked. When we trust in God, we also begin to see our struggles as a way to deepen our relationship with Him. Challenges have a way of drawing us closer to God as they remind us of our need for His guidance and support. In times of difficulty, we often turn to prayer, seeking comfort and strength. These moments of vulnerability allow us to experience God's presence in a profound way, deepening our faith and strengthening our connection to Him. Trusting God doesn't remove the pain of life's challenges, but it does provide a source of hope and comfort that carries us through. Trusting God also helps us find purpose in serving others. When we recognize that our lives are part of a greater plan, we begin to see how our experiences can be used to help those around us. Our struggles and triumphs become tools for encouraging and supporting others who are facing similar challenges. Trusting in God's purpose allows us to see beyond our own circumstances and find fulfillment in making a positive impact on the lives of others. This sense of purpose brings meaning to even the most difficult experiences, reminding us that our lives have value and significance. Another important aspect of trusting God is embracing gratitude, even in difficult times. When we trust that there's a purpose behind our experiences, we can find reasons to be thankful, even in the midst of challenges. Gratitude shifts our focus from what's lacking to what's present, helping us see the blessings that exist alongside the struggles. This mindset not only strengthens our faith, but also brings a sense of joy and peace, regardless of our circumstances. Trusting God and practicing gratitude go hand in hand, as both help us navigate life with a heart full of hope and resilience. Trusting God doesn't mean we won't face doubts or questions. It's natural to wonder why certain things happen or to feel uncertain during difficult times, but trust isn't about having all the answers. It's about choosing to believe in God's goodness and faithfulness, even when we don't understand. It's about holding on to hope and continuing to move forward, knowing that God is with us every step of the way. This kind of trust is built over time, through experiences that challenge us and moments that remind us of God's unwavering presence. Ultimately, trusting God transforms the way we experience life. It doesn't shield us from pain or guarantee a smooth journey, but it gives our lives meaning and direction. Every challenge becomes an opportunity for growth, every setback a lesson in resilience, and every moment a chance to deepen our faith. Trusting God allows us to live with purpose, knowing that we are part of a greater story, one that is unfolding exactly as it should. This trust doesn't make life easier, but it makes it richer, more meaningful, and filled with hope.